Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Wayne Pinkerton, and on behalf of DPS, I would like to welcome you to today's training session on directed movements and automated replenishment. I want to preface this discussion by stating that we will be talking about two DPS ZAP WMS processes, and that not every warehouse, or more specifically every product line, will be conducive to some or all of these practices. But I do believe the majority of warehouses will benefit from tighter movement control. My hope, or my goal, is to help educate our customers on the tools that are available with DPS ZAP, and for those of you that can implement these tools, to do so in order to continue improving efficiencies in your warehouse. For those of you that attended the DPS 2013 Users Conference, you might recall that I made mention of the directed movements as a way for warehouse managers and supervisors to take control of what inventory is being moved around the warehouse, by what personnel, and where it's going. This holds true for the automated replenishment as well, and for the end user, the processes mirror one another. Let's first begin by talking about directed movements. Directed movements are exactly as their name suggests. They're inventory movements that are done at the direction of the warehouse manager or supervisor. Using a full screen maintenance program, a warehouse manager or supervisor can build a movement defining the pull locations, the items, the quantity, and the put away locations. He or she can then assign the movement to a team or a specific worker to be completed. The person doing the movement cannot deviate from the information contained within the movement. This is in complete contrast to the discretionary movement, where the worker can, at their discretion, move items to and fro about the warehouse. By limiting or controlling what, when, where, and why inventory is moving around a warehouse, supervisors gain control of a potential productivity and shrinkage problem area. Removing discretionary movements, or at least limiting who can do a discretionary movement, also helps ensure that the overall vision of the warehouse in regards to workflow and footpath are maintained. Movements and replenishment are part of the day-to-day operation of a warehouse, and getting in front of these tasks by building movements in advance allows a warehouse manager or supervisor to spend more time handling process exceptions, customer issues, personnel issues, emergency orders, etc., and less time delegating standard workloads. Our automated replenishment feature builds upon the directed movement workflow, and again, from the end user perspective, there's no difference. They're going to follow the same scanning procedure. What the automated replenishment feature brings to the table is exactly what the name suggests, a level of automation that allows the system to shoulder the burden of building movements to keep primary picking locations stocked and ready for order fulfillment. Automated replenishment follows the parameters established by the warehouse manager or supervisors to build movements from overflow, reserve, bulk, secondary storage locations to keep primary picking locations full. This eliminates the need for a picker to pick from a location that would require a forklift or other equipment. It also eliminates having to stray outside of a preferred footpath in order to fill an order, or worse, sending an order out the door with a back order even though the stock was in-house but it wasn't in a pickable location. The setup for automated replenishment allows for a hierarchy of rules to be evaluated to determine when a location needs to be filled. The process was also recently enhanced to evaluate locations by volume or by piece count, which brings even more flexibility to the automated replenishment feature. The replenishment movements that are generated by the system can be held for review so that warehouse managers and supervisors can review them before releasing them for work. This hold allows the management team the opportunity to verify that the parameters they've defined are accurately set to reflect the needs of the warehouse. It also allows the management team to release movements in a controlled fashion to the replenishment or movement teams. Let's say, for example, I had to ramp up a production run on my first shift. I was going to need every available body to be picking and shipping orders. I could hold all of my movements and have my movement guys just working on additional picking. This eliminates any confusion of them seeing movements on their gun that need to be completed. Then at the end of that first shift, I could release those movements to second shift and they could go through the replenishment cycle and get the warehouse back in line to make sure that my primary locations are set. Now, I mentioned a hierarchy of rules just a little bit ago, and let's go ahead and revisit and expand upon that a little bit. I can set automated replenishment rules at the warehouse level, the pick area level, or down at an individual item location level. Let's say that my warehouse, I want the automated replenishment to evaluate any and all eligible locations. And if they're 30% of their max capacity, initiate a movement. But what if I have a particular pick area in my warehouse that handles faster moving product or larger product where I can only fit 1 or 2 in there, so I'll never hit, it's either 50% or empty. I could set a rule and say, hey, when this particular area hits 45%, the locations in that pick area are 45%, initiate those movements. Let's go one step further. I have a particular item that is on most of my orders, and it's an extremely fast mover, and I want to keep that location stocked. I could set a rule for that individual item or location. All of those rules allow me to focus my replenishment efforts in a way that best support my production needs. And for me, the best part about this is these are not just set and forget. These rules are dynamic. So if I'm building and completing movements and I'm the supervisor and I'm watching my workflow and I'm seeing how things are going and I'm noticing trends and I have an issue, I can come in here and adjust it for that individual location, that pick area, for the whole warehouse. And this allows me to say how big my movements are, how many SKUs I'm touching or locations I'm touching, etc. And if it's not meeting my needs, I can make adjustments on the fly, and during the next evaluation of replenishment cycles, my next set of movements are going to reflect those changes, so I can keep my thumb on the pulse and evaluate. And that's going to allow me to, again, be more efficient, because once I get this tuned and tailored to my specific warehouse needs or my product line needs, I can let it run, and I don't have to worry about it until I want to make changes. Now, hopefully, I've given you something to think about in terms of managing inventory as it moves to the warehouse, and how by using DPS Zap's directed movement and automated replenishment processes, you can start to realize some more efficiencies. I did intentionally keep this very high level, mostly because I know we're all in distribution, but box kicking is not created equal. We all have specific product lines, customer demands, vendors that we work with that make each one of our warehouses unique. We have different hurdles that we have to overcome and different things that we have to account for. So I didn't want to show, hey, this is how you set it up one way and that not work for you. But I did want to just talk about the overall process and let you know that some people didn't realize these were even available to them. If you have questions or you would like to see examples of how these processes can work within your environment, please contact myself, your project leader, your SSA, or any DPS sales representative. As always, we look forward to providing consultation and training in order to help better utilize your software tools. And on behalf of DPS and myself, I would like to thank you for taking the time for this session.